Fox, thanks for joining us at 6. Kentucky judges must adhere to the Kentucky Code of Judicial Conduct.
But did a circuit judge overstep her bounds when her ex-husband was arrested? Lee Searcy takes a look in tonight's exclusive LEX 18 Investigates.
Donald Champ Mays is no stranger to the legal system. He's a former Bath County attorney who went to federal prison for vote buying and lying to a grand jury. Then last year, Mays was arrested again on cocaine possession and other charges after police stopped him on I-64. The day of his arrest, a judge ordered Mays be drug tested, a judge that wasn't even assigned to his district court case. Versus that judge, his ex-wife, the Honorable Beth Mays, who was the chief circuit judge over Bath, Rowan, Menifee, and Montgomery counties. Here's the order signed by Judge Mays herself. So why did she sign an order that involved her ex-husband? The Kentucky Code of Judicial Conduct clearly states a judge shall disqualify himself or herself in any proceeding in which the judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, including if the judge's spouse or domestic partner or a person within the third degree of relationship to either of them is a party to the proceeding. He's her ex-husband. Today we sat down with Judge Mays and asked her why she did it. She told us no other judges were available and that she would have done it for anyone.
If there's an emergency and you're the last man standing, you're excused from the conflict.
And so you stand behind that this was an emergency?
It was an emergency. Do I wish now that I could take it back and not have done it? Of course, knowing what I know now, absolutely.
On the order, it's written the Commonwealth's attorney and the Bath County attorney saw the order and signed off on it. Not so, says either prosecutor.
I never saw that order, never agreed to that order, certainly didn't do anything with that order.
I did write that, and am I sorry I wrote it? Sure. That night, it was a very emotional night. My children were upset. I was upset.
A grand jury failed to indict Champ Mays on cocaine possession from the traffic stop. But late last year, subsequently, grand juries indicted him on drug charges related to that stop, along with additional unrelated drug trafficking offenses. But back to the traffic stop. Owensville's police chief questions why a drug test was ordered in the first place when Champ Mays wasn't arrested for using drugs. The chief says, where was the emergency?
That was extremely odd. In my 26 years of policing, I've never had that happen before.
Judge Mays has been on the bench for 18 years and tells us she's never been reprimanded. Regarding the drug test order, she reported her actions to the Judicial Conduct Commission.
And self-reported myself for what I had done. And
Is your case still being investigated? Or
I'm not at liberty to speak about that. That's a confidential matter.
For this LEX 18 Investigates, Lee Searcy, LEX 18 News.
The Judicial Conduct Commission keeps complaints private until a judge is publicly reprimanded.
Chief Circuit Judge Beth Mays presides over Bath, Rowan, Menifee, and Montgomery counties. In August, she admitted to us she issued this order to have her ex-husband drug tested the day police arrested him on I-64 last year. For judges, that's a no-no because she was related to him. Soon after our story, the Kentucky Judicial Conduct Commission charged Judge Mays with 2 counts of official misconduct for her actions. Then today, the JCC charged her with 2 more counts. Count 3 for writing that the Commonwealth's attorney and the Bath County attorney signed off on the order, along with her ex-husband's attorney, whose name was even misspelled. We brought this to Prosecutor Ronnie Goldie's attention last month.
I never saw that order, never agreed to that order, certainly didn't do anything with that order.
I did write that, and am I sorry I wrote it? Sure. That night, it was a very emotional night. My children were upset. I was upset.
Mays faces a 4th count for failing to disclose that she wrote the 3 had signed off on the order. And we've also learned a special prosecutor is now investigating the judge for alleged criminal conduct. Covering the news, Lee Searcy, LEX 18 News. Well, we were here just over a week ago when Judge Mays' ex-husband, Champ, was sentenced back to prison for drug charges and other offenses. Now, Judge Mays herself has been indicted. Chief Judge Beth Mays presides over Bath, Rowan, Menifee, and Montgomery counties. She's currently suspended with pay on ethics charges, 5 counts of official misconduct by the Kentucky Judicial Conduct Commission. Today, a Bath County grand jury indicted her on 3 felony counts, 2 for forgery second and a third tampering with public records. Last fall, Judge Mays issued 2 orders to drug test her ex-husband during his arrest. She admitted to us back in August that on one of the orders, she wrote that the Commonwealth's attorney and the Bath County attorney had signed off on the order, when in fact they did not. According to the JCC's complaint, Mays violated ethics rules when she got involved in her ex's case and, allegedly on her own or through her staff, tried to see if any confidential informants were involved in her ex-husband's criminal drug case. An attorney for Judge Mays says he's disappointed in the indictments and says Mays did not have the opportunity to tell her side of the story. The big question now, will she be able to keep her job? We'll have much more on this story coming up in just a bit. Covering the news in Bath County from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom, back to you. With her head held high, Chief Circuit Judge Beth Mays appeared in this Bath County courtroom with her 3 attorneys, one of them a former judge. Also here is support Kentucky Supreme Court Justice Bill Cunningham, who is related to Mays, and former State Appeals Court Judge David Barber.
Ms. Mays, I'm quite sure you understand your constitutional rights.
Yes, sir.
Attorneys for the suspended judge over Rowan, Bath, Menifee, and Montgomery counties entered a not guilty plea to 3 criminal charges. A grand jury indicted Mays on 2 counts of forgery second and 1 count of tampering with public records. She's accused of forging the names of others, including the Bath County attorney and the Commonwealth's attorney, on court orders without their knowledge. They were drug test orders involving her ex-husband's arrest.
I never saw that order.
We first reported her alleged actions in August.
I did write that, and am I sorry I wrote it? Sure. That night, it was a very emotional night. My children were upset. I was upset.
Mays, who is suspended with pay, also faces 5 ethics charges from the Judicial Conduct Commission for alleged conduct related to her ex-husband's arrest. Since day one, Mays has stood by her integrity as a judge. Her attorney believes she would not be here if she had the chance to testify before the grand jury.
She's an outstanding judge by every account I've heard. I've heard nobody make any derogatory comments about her performance as judge, and we're hoping that we can come through this process and she can resume her position as a judge in this circuit.
Covering the news in Bath County, Lee Searcy, LEX 18 News.